All right, welcome back. We're going to be taking a look at the playoffs, making some special predictions, and we're going to make a bracket to declare the winner for the championship.
Yes, sir. We recorded a episode 4 before the games were done. Now the games are done. We're locked into this bracket. We're gonna kind of go through and see. So we could just start. Let's start on the East. Philly versus Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is too hard of a decision for either of us. I'm just going to go ahead and say Philly.
I'm going to go say Philly as well. Embiid will be healthy. I mean, are we just going to... We don't really have to talk about it. Like, the Heat are sneaky. No. One game, sure, but honestly, with the Heat, weirdly enough, I'm more scared of them in a 7-game series than a 1-game set.
Yeah.
Because one game, they could just be like, whatever. And,
I mean, they can go off for sure. I think they can win. I don't want to discard them immediately, but... The Sixers are, I think, just a higher skill level than the Heat overall.
Especially if Embiid's playing.
And the Sixers have the best player available in Embiid, yeah.
Alright, so that's pretty set. Bulls and Hawks. This one could go either way. I'm leaning towards Chicago, mainly because of their clutch stats. Trae Young and DeJounte have not looked good together. And they've beaten the Hawks twice already, so I'm leaning.
And recency bias, the Hawks just gave up 160 points almost to the Pacers, so
yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and say the Bulls too, for sure. They at least have Alex Caruso.
The Bulls up, and then we get a rematch of the last 7-8 matchup. I'm leaning with the Heat as well. The Bulls were really close last year to beating them. I think the Bulls are going to stay a playing team for quite a while unless they make a change. So I'm down to go with the Heat as well. Kind of what we're a little bit expecting as we kind of go into this plan, but anything can happen.
The Bulls can definitely win.
I would not be surprised to see the Bulls. Heat. Yeah. The thing is, I think Boston Miami will be a lot better series than Boston Chicago. Not that I think either of them will be that good, but
I think so too.
Lakers Pelicans. I'm all in on the Lakers. They just smacked the Pelicans. They have the Pelicans number entirely. The Pelicans cannot beat the Lakers. They have not.
I think I'm down to
go
with the Lakers.
3 years or 2 years.
If anything, I'm scared of the Lakers. Like, I'm worried about them the deeper they go in the playoffs. When they're fresh early, I think they play to their highest potential. I mean, LeBron's old at this point, so he can't sustain his production for that long. But, I think the plan is where they thrive, best of one. I definitely see them winning over the Pelicans.
Yeah, and, I mean, like I said, they've smacked around the Pelicans over the last few years. There is Anthony Davis questions, I think, but I mean... He'll be playing. Yeah, he'll be playing. I'll move the Lakers up here.
It's a bad matchup for the Lakers.
But yeah, speaking of teams that they can't beat. Anyway, next one, Kings Warriors. I was honestly leaning Kings at the beginning, but I think I switched a little bit just because the Warriors have the best player in the game.
It's a repeat of last year.
It is.
In the just one game instead of best of 7.
Except the Kings are worse.
Go either way. Yeah, the Kings are worse. They don't have Kevin Huerter.
They don't have Malik
Monk. Question marks. Yeah, I mean, I gotta go with the Warriors for sure. They just have Curry and.
Because I agree with that as well. You got Curry.
Draymond's been playing well recently.
And in one game,
Clay's been playing well recently.
Yeah, Clay gets hot. The Warriors win, right?
Yeah. Curry's gonna get you, his normal production. And if Curry goes really hot, you win it too. So.
Yeah. This game is also interesting. One game.
This is an interesting game.
I'm leaning NOLA.
Me too. I'm leaning Pels.
Obviously, there's a lot of... I don't know if Brandon Ingram's going to be back. I don't know when he's coming back, if at all. But, still... Warriors can't really stop Zion. They don't have any...
Pelicans are just fast, too.
Yeah, they're
and
fast.
Zion's
you can't stop Zion.
Really well defensively recently.
Yeah, the one thing that would have me go Warriors is they do have the best player in the game, like we said. But we saw this kind of story before with the Warriors in the play-in, and they lost it last time. So
yeah.
You cool with the Pelicans?
And the Pelicans are also going to be full strength. Everyone's healthy.
Maybe.
And
I don't know about Brandon Ingram.
Oh, sure. But if Brandon Ingram's playing, I'm pretty solidly Pelicans. If not, I think it's more of a toss-up, but I think the Pelicans have easier paths to winning, where the Warriors...
Oh,
really
he returned today. I'm sorry. Brandon Ingram returned
today.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely...
I did not watch that game
because it was a
blowout.
blowout. Me neither.
All right.
All right, so Pelicans. Warriors.
Pelicans. So we have our 7. How do you want to do this? You want to just go down one side and then down the other?
Yeah, I think it would be best to do first round in each side first, and then just keep going that way until we get to the finals.
All right, that sounds
Are
good.
we gonna try to guess games, or are we just gonna
we can
say who wins over
guess
the other?
scores. We can guess games. Yeah, it'll make it a little more interesting. Like Celtics Heat.
Okay.
I think this goes 6 in favor of the Celtics. I think this is the one matchup of the Celtics. They're not gonna lose. But it's the one first round matchup where I think the Heat could take at least 2. I know the Heat, they're not the same, but the Heat's the Heat. It's Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is going to get you one game in a series. It always happens. He always gets
exactly
you at least one. And
that's
then,
why I think it's going to be a 5-game series.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Jimmy Butler's going to get
Celtics
one.
Moving on. But,
yeah.
This
is where we can get a little semantic, and we don't have to agree.
Yeah. I think the Heat can take 2. The Celtics, shooting. I think Jimmy Butler's going to get them one game. I think the Celtics are going to shoot themselves out of one game. And I think it's going to be a 4-2 series.
I think the Celtics aren't going to allow that to happen. A lot of these shoot themselves out of games we've seen is just like they've kind of devolved into their lazy habits from like big winning streaks or a lot of road games in a row. Like every time I've seen the Celtics when they have something to play for, they've really shown out. And I think a lot of people are going to be kind of like about the Celtics based on their mental stuff with the past couple of years and not being unable to get over some hump. I just think they're so much more talented that they'll just be so much more disciplined when these games are like really mattering, and I think they're going to want to come out and really make a statement.
Yeah, I mean we'll see. We haven't seen this core together in a playoff setting yet. I mean they haven't played a competitive game at all. Competitive in like a game that really matters.
No.
Ever with this core.
No.
I mean they've just kind of cruise control through this regular season.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Porzingis. He hasn't been in the playoffs since that disastrous Mavs series, so
yeah, we'll see.
Curious to see how he does.
Cavs, Magic. I personally want to go with the Magic with this one. That's what my gut's telling me, and I don't think it's going to be a close series. Like Cavs, they have the star power. They have Mitchell. They have Garland. I'm super high on Mitchell. They have Mobley. Yeah. They have Jared Allen. But the Magic's defense is so solid. The Magic have shown up in clutch games. In fact, you could talk about the series, but I want to look up what their record is against the Cavs.
Yeah,
not that really matters.
I've been a big Magic guy since day one. I love the Orlando Magic. I love the way they play basketball. I love how Jalen Suggs has really come back into his own recently and shown that he can run on offense for them.
That's the thing too, is Jalen Suggs being like the Marcus Smart of this Magic team.
It's really a game changer.
You need to have that kind of guy. I don't know if the Cavs have that guy. I know they want Okoro to kind of be that guy. I know Strus has been very, very good for them.
Yeah.
But Jalen Suggs is kind of the X factor.
I'm concerned about 2 things in particular about the Cavs. I'm very concerned about where their scoring is going to come from outside of Donovan Mitchell and Garland. And a bit of Strus here and there, And then I'm especially concerned about Donovan Mitchell's interest level these playoffs. I don't really know if he's locked in. Like I know the whole thing around him is like he's definitely not going to be a Cav unless they do something crazy,
Yeah, they pretty much have to make a finals run, and I don't think they're going to make it. They're obviously not going to make a finals run. But I say obviously.
And I don't think he's going to put his body on the line or anything to like really fight in the series the way I think the Magic are. I think the Magic really feel like they have something to prove. I think they're going to come out pretty hungry.
Yeah.
And I think what they've shown me defensively this year really makes me think that they'll be able to hang with some of these tougher guys in the playoffs.
They can
just
slow
because
the
they're
game
used
down.
to making it scrappy and chaotic and kind of play in that playoff basketball environment. So if they can really foster that in their games, I think they have a high ceiling for sure.
Yeah. Plus, you look at
I'm high on them, and I'm not very high on the Cavs. So
yeah, you look
kind of
at
a
like
storm.
the defense of the Magic, which that makes a playoffs pretty much is how good your defense is. And not that the Cavs defense isn't good, but then you put like Jalen Suggs, who you could put on Mitchell. You could move Cole Anthony, who's been okay, Markelle Fultz. Like they just have a lot of guys there that they could throw on. Even Franz Wagner, who can guard the perimeter decently well, especially at his size. So
yeah. Plus,
I'm gonna move the
they're
Magic
both.
on. I would say 4-2. If it goes
Yeah.
7, I wouldn't be surprised. If it goes 5, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm
This is
cool
one of
with
those
4-2.
series where if the Cavs win too, I also wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's
Yeah,
gonna be the Magic.
I could see it going either way, but I definitely see the Magic. I'm just not. I don't think the Cavs have a dynamic enough offense to really slog through the defense.
Yeah, and unless Mobley like turns it up. Offense.
Yeah.
Plus, we've seen the Cavs choke in the past, both in
yeah,
the
for
play-in and in last year's first round. So
Yeah.
Magic there. Knicks and Sixers, another really hard one. Not to
Yeah, this is a
disrespect the
tough
Knicks,
one.
but they don't have Randall and they don't have anyone
Yeah.
to stop Embiid. You could throw Mitchell Robinson on him, but like he's gonna
But
get
what-
foul trouble.
Yeah. But then they have Hardenstein to throw at him too.
Which
So and like they can
he's
put
gonna
Josh
put
Hart on him.
Hardenstein.
I think like he kind of plays like a guard, and Josh Hart's strong enough to not get bulldozed over, and he's not gonna like bully his way to the rim and dunk that often. He doesn't like do that too much. He doesn't play in the post that often.
Yeah, he plays like.
So I think it's okay to play Josh Hart
Straight
on
up.
him because he can play him like a guard.
The thing is Embiid's just gonna shoot over Josh Hart.
Yeah, for sure. But he's gonna shoot over Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hardenstein too.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about Embiid. He can shoot over almost anyone. My thing is just, I think it's going to be tough for the Sixers, especially. My big concern is Embiid's conditioning coming back from the injury.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. Because I think if Embiid was healthy, and we knew he was healthy, I would be taking the Sixers here.
Yeah, me too. But the Knicks are used to be playing heavy minutes. They're used to slogging down these games. That's the thing they're the best at. They're the Tibbs. All the Tibbs teams have always been the best at just like really putting pressure defensively, causing teams to get uncomfortable and expend extra energy on offense. And that's not something that I think the Sixers are too comfortable doing.
Not right
And I
now.
think
Not with Embiid. We're not really sure where.
Yeah, we're not sure how Embiid's looking. And if I'm being honest, even in the best of years, his conditioning is kind of spotty in the playoffs.
But he
And
has always
his
been good in
game-
round one.
Yeah, that's true. But if you look at his opponents, he hasn't really faced competition. This is going
Yeah.
to be the first time in years that he's actually faced a real round one opponent and not the Wizards. You know.
Yeah, the Wizards, the Raptors. You know, I'm
The
good
Nets.
with picking the Knicks too. Whoa, the Knicks too. Like 4-3. I'm something like
Yeah.
that.
It's
It's
gonna
gonna
be a
be
tough
close
series.
close series. It's gonna be a tough series, but I think Jalen Brunson, he can turn it up in the playoffs, and we're gonna see that even
Yeah.
without Randall.
Yeah, and maybe I'm sleeping and the Sixers just bulldoze the Knicks, but we'll see.
Possibly. It really all depends on how Embiid comes out, and I don't trust Embiid
Yeah.
enough right now to say,
No,
he's
me
going to be at
neither.
100%. And even if he
No.
is, that the team around him besides Maxey is going to really step up.
Exactly. Like, is Tobias Harris?
Tobias
or
Harris
Lowry
is not
really
stepping up.
No, and Lowry's old.
Yeah. Who else?
This is another interesting one.
You're right.
Bucks Pacers.
Bucks Pacers. The Pacers have in the early season were beating the Bucks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bucks have too much. Again, this is
I think the
also
Bucks have too
similar
much,
to
too.
the Sixers. Like, we don't know what the health of Giannis is come playoff time.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. But
I mean, I'm not doubting his health ever since I saw his knee, his ankle like bend backwards the wrong way, and then he just came back the next day. It was fine.
yeah, that was insane.
Yeah.
He came back the next day and then like dropped 50 in Game 6 in
Yeah.
the finals. Like the
Crazy.
next series. So
Insane.
I'm going with the Bucks. I'm not going to... well,
Me too.
whoa. I was going to say I'm not going to doubt Giannis, but he did lose in the first round last year to a much weaker team. But the Pacers
but
defense
they-
just isn't good enough.
I also think they don't have that Jimmy Butler drive that really pushes the Heat to be able to make those comebacks
Yeah.
and upsets.
Halliburton and
And-
Siakam will have to go crazy. They're going to have to get a lot of
Yeah.
production from some of the others, like Miles Turner. They're going to have to get production from Nemhard, from Neesmith,
And
from...
the thing about-
Matherin's out for the season, I believe, so they're not going to have him. Let me actually look that up.
The thing about the Heat last year too is like ramping up to the playoffs, you could see like they were doing better and better and better to the point where I remember hearing people be like, "Hey, we should maybe like think about the Heat being a factor in these playoffs," which I haven't really seen this year. Like there were only a few people saying that last year, so maybe we'll see more of it kind of bubbling up. But like Jimmy Butler hasn't really been Jimmy Butler. Bam has been pretty passive. Tyler Harrow's been pretty
Wait, we're talking about the
cold.
Pacers. Right?
Yeah, but I'm
Oh, yeah,
comparing
okay, yeah.
like their thing last year against the Bucks to the Pacers.
Right.
And talking about like that drive that they had, and I think the Pacers maybe have the talent to pull off something like that, but I think the Bucks are going to be too driven to let that happen this time. And a big thing was Giannis's injury last year.
Yeah, Giannis was out, and
big
Chris
factor.
Middleton wasn't himself. I mean, Chris Middleton probably won't ever be that 2021 Chris Middleton again, but he's still going to be, a great shooter. And of course, they got Dame this year.
And Drew's offense was bad last year, and his defense was a non-factor anyway. So you might as well put Dame in. His offense is going to be better than Drew for sure.
And I do think the Pacers are the weakest team in this bracket. Obviously, if the Bulls or Hawks make it, we're looking at something different.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
Pacers or Heat are definitely the weakest team in this bracket. So there's our final four in the East. We got Celtics, Magic, and the Knicks, Bucks. Mm-hmm. Two really good series. Let's go out west.
So this is actually interesting because I think if I think if the Warriors make it here, they have a real series against the Thunder.
I don't think the Warriors have a real series against the Thunder. I don't think they have enough size. I think the Thunder are going to roll through both these guys.
I agree. I think
if the Lakers make it there, now we could talk because you got Anthony Davis. But
yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just think Steph Curry can make it a series with just about anybody.
Yeah, Steph Curry can make a series. With this, I'm thinking 4-1 though. I'm not trying to discredit the Pelicans, but they've been in a major slump, and the Thunder are the 1 seed for a reason and have an MVP candidate.
Like 4-1. And then this is the really interesting
one. Do you want to do this last because I feel like we're kind of
sure.
No, like Nuggets are probably going to beat the Lakers.
No, yeah, I have nothing to say about that.
They've kind of just owned the Lakers.
They've won 8 in a row against the Lakers.
Yeah. So. The Lakers can maybe get one this year, but I think the Nuggets will probably beat them. Timberwolves Suns is also interesting. So the Timberwolves have not beaten the Suns this year. Anthony Edwards has never beaten Bradley Beal. Yeah. And they just got blown out by the Suns.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Suns.
I think it's going to be tough. I think I'm taking the Suns too. I hate to disrespect the Wolves like this because they've had a great season, and I think they can definitely win. My big thing is Cat didn't play today. So...
He did. He just didn't play well.
Oh, he did? Okay. Well, that's the thing. He's not ramped back up at all. Embiid got like 8 games, and I'm still doubtful on him. Cat barely played at all, and he's a spotty playoff performer to begin with, so I'm pretty doubtful about his chances. I think Ant's going to light it up. I think Jaden McDaniels is going to, give them something they didn't have last year. But I just think...
we've seen Gobert being exploited in the playoffs before.
Exactly. And this is the team to beat him with. They just can spam mid-ranges or threes, and, Gobert is really bad against that.
Yeah, Bradley Beal has locked in on defense. I saw him make a bunch of really good defensive plays in this game today and the game a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the Suns are built for the playoffs. I mean, they got 3 All-Star players.
Yeah. I saw them against what they did against Denver last year without Bradley Beal. I think Devin Booker, KD, and Beal are just going to carry the series.
Yeah. Especially Devin Booker. And, the Wolves will make it a series, I think, even though they haven't. I think so, too. Ant's going to beat Bradley Beal at least once in this series.
Yeah, it's going to be 6-game series at least.
Yeah.
If not 7.
Now we can go back to Clippers, Mavs. So, most interesting series.
This is a very interesting series. I still don't really know how to feel about this series.
Yeah, I'm... Obviously, the Clippers, they always have injury issues when we get to this point. And I feel like I haven't really seen them play with everyone there for at least a week. So, maybe they all come back and they're, perfect and they gel.
I think they've been, fine. I think it's just they've been resting.
Yeah, resting. Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm a little concerned for the Mavs because the Clippers, I think, are coming in full strength for the first time in a little bit.
And you never want to see the Clippers in the first round. You want to see them in the conference finals when they're all banged up.
Yeah. Last year they didn't have Paul George, and they still really made it a series. And I think Westbrook really adds something to the dynamic here that the Mavs bench is not going to be able to match. I don't think he's just going to bring that hustle and energy and really inspire his team to play harder than the Mavs bench is going to be able to. I suspect.
I will say the offensive output of Luka and Kyrie are going to bring for their team, not even just them scoring, but the passing, is going to be very hard to keep up with for the Clippers. Yes, and the Clippers, there are a couple teams that I think can do it, and that's the Clippers and the Suns.
Yeah, I think so too.
In terms of personnel, but that's going to be really hard.
And I think Kawhi is going to be defensively is going to be a big factor.
Yeah, he's going to be the X factor in this series.
Luka and Kyrie, their big thing is they're both negative defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with the Clippers is their whole starting five can shoot threes. They're 3-level scorers. They're really high-level 3-level scorers, and they can really do it all.
Yep.
And they don't have like a really dynamic big man, but neither do the Mavs. So I don't think that's going to be too
and the
much of a
Mavs,
factor
the
this
Clippers
year.
are coming in with a lot of playoff experience. Obviously,
Yes.
the Mavs have the playoff experience, but they also have their front court specifically, Lively, Gafford, PJ Washington, who have no playoff experience. This will be their first time. So
they've
I'm
been the
leaning
number one
towards
defense in a while. I'm leaning Clippers. I hate to bet against Luka, just because like I've seen him do some magical things, and it's crazy to think that Luka could be a first round exit like any year he's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know.
But the Clippers have also
like,
had their
his
number. Obviously, a
for
different
a
team,
while.
but Clippers are older. But
Yeah,
I'm
the Clippers
also
have a
leaning
different team
towards the
too.
Clippers.
I think
I'm leaning towards the
Harden
Clippers as well.
adds something too that the Mavs aren't like. Kyrie can't guard Harden, and Harden can't really guard Kyrie too much. But then on the other side, Luka can't guard Kawhi, who Luka's probably not going to be on Kawhi. But
And
Kawhi's
Luka,
probably
yeah, they're
going to
give him a lot of different looks between
Yeah.
Kawhi, between Paul George, between
Yeah.
even Norman Powell will probably take
Yeah.
Some hacks.
Harden.
Terrence Mann, Harden will get destroyed by Luka, but
Yeah,
still,
but,
I'm talking about
yeah,
like
oh,
on
yeah,
defense.
talking about defense. Yeah,
They could throw
yeah,
Terrence
yeah.
Mann, they could throw Kawhi. A bunch
Yeah.
of different little things that they could do. And Ty Lue has always kind of shown that he's a really good coach in the playoffs. I'm not going to
really
trust
good
Jason Kidd.
He's really good about scheming against opposing players. That was a big thing about the Cavs Cavs Warriors series was he was really good about scheming against Steph.
Mhm.
It's just like it's Steph, so sometimes it didn't work. But he always had like really creative things. He was always willing to adapt and change stuff up, which I think is obviously key in the playoffs and especially key against Luka. Because he's going to try and do so many different things to you. You're going to have to give him so many different options and looks and stuff. I'm excited for it. I think this is
going to be the best series of
I think so too.
Of the first
7
round.
games for sure.
I'm hoping that some of these East series are good because we haven't had an East series that has gone over 5 games in a while.
Yeah, it's true.
But the Western Conference playoffs is already amazing. So there's our 4 out west: Thunder, Clippers, Nuggets, Suns. Let's go back out east: Celtics, Magic. Magic have had the Celtics number a little bit, but it's playoff Celtics. Magic.
I think it's
less
different.
Experience. It's
I think the Magic are going to play them harder than people expect if they get to this position. But
Magic
I think it's
incredible. So.
yeah.
I mean, the Celtics should sleepwalk to the conference finals, realistically. So I'm going to go with the Celtics.
Whether this be Cavs or Magic, I think this is a pretty easy mop up for the Celtics. Because
the Magic are the harder of the two for them.
I think so. But
I'm still pretty confident, in the Celtics making it this far. Knicks, Bucks, another
this is interesting
one.
This is an interesting matchup, really, whatever these 4 teams get in here. But especially Bucks Knicks, because the Knicks are a team that really have relied on their defensive identity to create stops enough to allow them to convert into easy transition offense and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Bucks, their whole thing is Giannis just barrels people over, and then you have Dame who's you just can't double off of, so you can't really help Giannis's man.
Yeah, Dame is absolutely the X factor. Of course, Giannis always, but
yes,
if Dame is on, the Bucks are going to be very hard to beat, even for Boston.
Yeah, I just think Giannis is, like you said, always going to do his thing. Especially I don't think the Knicks have anything to stop him at all. He's going to barrel over everybody. He's very physical. The Knicks are very physical too, but they kind of rely on
I mean, they do have
physical.
OG Anunoby, who did a pretty good job on Giannis in the past.
That's true. That is true.
He's not going to be, nobody's going to stop Giannis, but it's about. I feel like with the Bucks, it's about stopping the others from getting going. If Chris Middleton gets going, the Bucks win. If Dame gets going, the Bucks win. I'm trying to think of the way the Knicks win this series. It's a lot of Jalen Brunson.
Brunson going off every single game.
And then I feel like there's just not enough help for the Knicks.
No, not without Randall. I think that's the big problem. is they're just
because you
missing
got
a
to
huge
get
part of their
good
offense.
games out of DiVincenzo. You got to get really good games out of Boyan.
You need Ojo Anunoby to be spot on defense.
He's got to be spot on
15,
defense.
20
And
a night.
yeah. So it feels like it's like too much going against the Knicks.
That's how I feel too.
In this, so I'm gonna go to the Bucks. But the Bucks also have Doc Rivers, so
that's true. But
that
Doc
changes
Rivers
a lot.
is famous for choking in the conference finals.
Not with the Sixers. He ain't.
But that's a Sixers curse thing, so
sure,
that's not his fault. The Sixers can't make it out of the second round with or without Doc.
So we got a very familiar sight, Bucks Celtics. I guess not a familiar sight because it's usually Heat Celtics. But...
Yeah. Well,
Thunder,
it's been Bucks Celtics once before.
Yeah.
2022.
It was. No, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Celtics make another conference of finals.
Or was that the second round? I don't remember. Yeah, I think that's that's as close as a lock as you can get in these playoffs right now.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they don't. This series, I think, will be very, very interesting. Obviously, the Celtics. We'll talk about this later. Thunder Clippers. We have youth versus experience, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
This
is kind of a weird take, but I think no matter who makes it out of Clippers Mavs beats the Thunder.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the Thunder are gonna win this series. So, gotta do something.
I think a big problem with the Thunder. I know it's kind of overrated with experience in the playoffs, but I really do think it's going to come down to that. And just like keeping a level of poise about you that the Clippers are like the Clippers just are very comfortable playing these types of games, and the Thunder, for better or for worse, don't have any reference points or experience doing these types of things.
Shea has been in the playoffs in the past.
But not with these types of expectations that he might have on him now, you know. And I know it's like they weren't supposed to be here, so there's no expectations. But with this being the number one seed, it comes with a level of expectations for the playoffs. And I think it's just like a kind of a similar problem that happened with the Grizzlies. Is like when these games get really grindy and tough and like really playoff intensive. Like, do you really know how to grind through it and win? And I think Shea definitely can. I think the real X factor for the Thunder is like it's J-Dub's second season. It's Chet's rookie year. Like these players that aren't really used to these types of games.
Yeah.
Versus players like
Kawhi,
coming off the bench,
Paul
Westbrook,
George,
Kawhi, Paul George, Harden. Like
and even
these guys
like going deeper, Norman Powell's been in a lot of playoff games.
Same with.
You are kind of convincing me on the Clippers,
so
but I also did say after the playoffs that Jalen Williams is going to be a top 20 player in the league, and
but he's been spotty with injuries lately, hasn't he?
No, he's been fine.
I thought he was injured for a little while and like was missing.
Even so, it's not going to affect the playoffs. I don't think. Anyway.
Maybe. I don't know. I think
J-Dub is extremely clutch. I think it's going to be tough for the Clippers to score at the rim with Chet down there. And I just think the Thunder have better shooters. Casey Wallace has been amazing. Isaiah Joe. What are some of their other shooters? Obviously Shea. Giddey's the spotty one. Honestly, Giddey might not see him a lot of time in this series because I know Tyler will exploit that. But I just think they have shooters across the board. Even the other Jalen Williams.
If it turns into a shootout, though, it's like they have Harden, Norm Powell. Like Kawhi is one of the best perimeter defenders. Paul George is a great perimeter defender, and they can all knock down shots on the other side. I think the big thing is they're just gonna like really exploit the Thunder defense. Like I think Chet's gonna have to really work on defense, and I think a lot of the games are gonna come down to specifically Chet and whether he can rotate properly and stay with his man and stay aligned when the Clippers and Ty Lue especially is going to be able to try and pick your defense apart.
But that's another thing I really like about the Thunder is how easily they could use those rotations. Like you have 4 players in Lou Dort, in Josh Giddey, in Shea, and in J-Dub who can all basically guard the best player on the opposing team. And that's what you need in this kind of situation. Maybe Josh Giddey being the least of the 4. But honestly, we might not see Josh Giddey play a lot of this series.
The thing is, they can theoretically guard the best player on the other team. Can they guard healthy Kawhi in the playoffs? That's the question. It's not the best player on the other team theoretically. It's can they stop Kawhi and can they stop Paul George at the same time?
But then on the other
That's
side, can
the
they
big
stop
question.
Shea? Can they stop... Like, Shea's going to get his 30. I'm pretty confident in that. And I'm pretty confident in J-Dub taking a leap in these playoffs.
I think Kawhi's going to be on J-Dub. And that's going to be a big problem for J-Dub because Kawhi knows exactly how to stop players like J-Dub, and J-Dub has never faced a player like Kawhi in this environment where they have
at the same time
playing against you.
You could see like a banged up Kawhi. I don't think Kawhi is the same as he was
even
a couple of years ago.
We can't like rely on injuries or anything because you can go to the other side and be like, what if Chet gets injured against?
No, that's
what
true.
If Zion
but
injures
Kawhi,
Chet,
you know, it's more likely that he's going to be out than it is for some of these other players.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to flip a coin since I think we're pretty?
Sure. Go ahead and flip a coin.
You're gonna have to do it because I have the.
Okay. Hasn't Kawhi been like pretty healthy this season?
He has,
yeah,
but I think the 65
games.
game limit has had something to do with that a little bit.
That's
Which,
true.
you know, same.
But
I'm just saying he's banged up, and you know,
Ty
Lue has been very non-committal with this current injury that he has, which probably would affect him less.
I think he said he was ready to be ready for the playoffs, didn't he?
They said that last year.
I'm pretty sure he said he's 100% ready. But the problem last year is he got injured in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was injured going in. All right.
Heads for Thunder, tails for Clippers.
Sure. Tails.
All right. Clippers move on. No matter what, I think this is going to be a tough series.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to go 7.
Yeah, and I don't think it's ultimately going to matter who makes it.
Yeah. Especially the Clippers. Like I said, I got the Nuggets in this one too.
Yeah, me too.
The Suns, I do think are one of their toughest matchups, though.
I do think so too.
You have a 3-headed monster over there that's really tough for the Nuggets to deal with.
But also on the other side, who's on Aaron Gordon? That's my question for every Nuggets opponent. Who's on Aaron Gordon?
Yeah. Because and Jokic even. I mean, Jokic is going to get. I don't think the Suns' defense is not good enough to really contain Jokic. I'm trying to think of anyone on that team. Like Nurkic isn't going to do it. We know that.
No, not at all. Bol isn't going to do jack shit.
Yeah, so it's just so tough for the Suns.
Because I think
Kevin
Aaron Gordon was one of the X factors last year too, and last year they had a better defense, I think, than this year. This year they really went all in for Beal and kind of are just like working with the scraps, and they got some good scraps. Rosso O'Neal's good. He's not amazing on defense. Grayson Allen's good. Also not amazing on defense.
Grayson Allen's one of those guys, though, that could be an X factor in the series as well. You know, he shot almost 50% from 3 this year.
Yeah, but he's going to get picked apart. Like, who's he going to be on? KCP?
Probably.
They're just going to run around, switch, get him on Aaron Gordon, dunk. I think it's going to be kind of a nightmare for him on defense.
One thing the Suns could try to do is... the strategy has happened a couple of times where it's just like, okay, Jokic is going to beat us with his offense. We're going to make sure nobody else gets going, and then we're just going to out-offense him with our team, which I think would be the strategy the Suns go with in this series. Expect Jokic to put up big numbers.
But that just never works because
yeah, no, I agree
with Jokic is he can put up the big numbers.
I'm gonna move the Nuggets off. I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit with the Suns.
Yeah. Like the thing people always try to do against Jokic, but Jokic is like the second you make any mistake against Jokic, he's going to get you, or he's just going to score. So you can target a scorer. He's going to take a few more shots and then take a couple more seconds with the ball until someone does something a little bad and creates an open shot or like another pass or something, and then he's going to pass or whatever. Like it's tough because the other Nuggets players are so good that like. It's hard to play man-to-man on them and just let Jokic do what he wants because Jokic just suddenly he's the screener a million times and he's in the middle of the play and it's like you didn't plan on having 2 people on Jokic but now you're stuck on him and
you got
it
Jamal
just turns into a mess.
You got playoff Jamal. Yeah, it's just when I think of these series, usually we both like to do is think of okay, how many ways can one team win and how many ways can the other team win? And with the Nuggets this year, and even last year, because we were talking about this last year. Obviously, we didn't have a podcast, but we were talking about it. There's just way more ways that the Nuggets could win these games than there were the other teams.
Yeah.
So.
And they've shown, especially Jokic is very comfortable getting to the matchups that he wants for all of his players. And he's going to be very vocal about be like, go here, do this, go here, screen here, do that. And position his players like chess pieces to get them in the perfect spots in ways that I don't think the Suns can keep up with defensively at all.
Yeah. Moving back east, we have Celtics Bucks. I know the Celtics would probably rather see the Knicks. I said before that the Knicks were going to be a really tough matchup for the Celtics, but that was before Randall went down. I mean, we've seen the Bucks blow out the Celtics in the past. Like all these 4 games have either been blowout in favor of the Bucks or very close wins for the Celtics. Again, regular season, once you get to the playoffs, I feel like it doesn't matter as much.
No, I don't think so.
But you know, it is something to consider, especially you have Giannis, you have Brook Lopez down there. I wouldn't be surprised if Porzingis has a slower series. It's going to be heavy Jason Tatum and heavy Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
but
they
at the same time,
series.
Drew has been the Dame stopper for a long ass time. So
and also, I think Dame is going to get fucking abused on defense.
Yeah.
Like Derek White is going to just destroy him, or they're going to get Jason Tatum on him. They're going to get Porzingis on him. Like I think they're going to do a lot of matching. And Brook Lopez is a serviceable perimeter defender.
Yeah,
and I think he's really going to need to showcase that this series, because Porzingis can definitely play on the perimeter. He's going to need to play him close. And
I honestly think they'll probably put Giannis on Porzingis.
Probably.
They'll put him out on Porzingis.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
But then again, you know, he's such a good help defender that you don't want him out on the perimeter. No. So it's kind of like an interesting...
Yeah,
but he's also such a good
defense is not his strength. I would rather have Giannis as the help defender than Brook.
Yeah,
sure.
No.
I don't think they're going to have Giannis on him.
It's just going to be hard with the spacing the Celtics have. And it kind of goes back to, how many ways can the Celtics win this series? Obviously getting hot from 3, which they've done all season.
And people forget with the Celtics being so good on offense this year that their identity is really rooted in defense. Yeah. And like really rooted in like getting stops and converting that into transition buckets, kind of like the Knicks, but like to a really high degree. And I think they're really going to make it very difficult for Giannis on the defensive side, where like he's going to get his, of course, but it's going to be tough for him to drive, I think, because they have so many big bodies they can just throw at him at the very least. And it's going to be tough for anyone not named Dame or Giannis to really get cooking. If they start cooking, like if
they're going to need a lot of help from guys like Chris Middleton, obviously. Chris Middleton's going to have to be big. You're going to need a lot of help from guys like Malik Beasley, who has shown he can do it, but you're going to need help from him.
Can you do it with Drew or Derek White on him?
Yeah, exactly. So
that's the question.
It's, you know, it's a tough series for the Bucks. Always, I do think the series will be very close.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the Bucks, we've seen them blow up the Celtics out. We know they're able to do it, but I think the Celtics have too much firepower in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, we've seen it, but that last Bucks loss was, they were clearly trying some weird shit that didn't work out because they had clinched the 1 seed, it didn't matter. Like, it comes back to what we were talking about where the Celtics felt like they hadn't played with pressure the whole season.
And Doc Rivers.
I would say the 2 games that are the exception to that are the Denver games. I think the Celtics really used those games as litmus tests to see where they stacked up against the champs. And, like, those were the games where I saw the Celtics really turn up and be the Celtics that I was expecting. Doesn't help them that they were 0-2 in those games, but it is the Nuggets. So I think it's going to be... I mean, I think we're going to see a different Celtics team come to this playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be really ready to have something... Like, ready to prove something and prove themselves. And no matter what they say, like, what is said about them matters to them. Like, Jason Tatum isn't stupid. He knows what people are saying. He knows he needs to really have a big series, and like he's done it before. He's consistently stepped up in the playoffs. He has the highest score in Game 7 in history. Like, he shows that when his team needs him, and I think he's had kind of a weird season. I think he's kind of had to adjust to this like sort of new role of not being as big of a scorer and like facilitating more for the team. But I think his scoring role is really going to open up more when we get into the playoffs, and they really need to lean on the superstars more.
Yeah. So I'm going to move the Celtics into the finals. Regardless of what happens, this is the matchup I definitely want to see.
Me too, for sure. I think it's good would be most entertaining. Or, okay, I'm saying matchup that we're about to get into in the finals.
Oh! I meant Celtics Bucks.
Yeah,
we've kind of missed out on that the last year. and then the Grant Williams game. But
Yeah,
I'm super
I'd like
interested to see how the Bucks play the Celtics.
For sure.
If
I'd
they can get
much
past the
prefer it
Knicks.
over like the Knicks.
Yeah.
Or like the Sixers.
But I
or
mean, even the
Pacers.
Sixers, the Sixers could get there. This is
Yeah, it's kind of a weak side,
it's not
I
the
think.
easiest path that they failed, because
No.
the Hawks one. I mean, that was, you have Wizards Hawks and you can't make the conference finals. Come on. But
Yeah.
this is definitely one of the easier paths, at least for being a 7 seed.
I think drawing the 7th seed is really gonna hurt them with
You
the
mean help
Knicks.
them? Oh, the
No.
Knicks, yeah, the Knicks.
Like I think it's gonna be. Like,
I thought you
think
meant the
they
Sixers
really...
drawing the 7th. But
No,
yeah, I know.
I
what you
think
mean,
the
yeah.
Sixers really wanted like the 6 or 5 seed. I don't know. They would have had to play the Bucks, I guess. I guess the Knicks is probably their best matchup versus top seeds, but I'm doubtful. We'll see.
Yeah.
They've never had to face.
And
a
the
team like
Sixers
this
might
in the
not
first
even be
round.
7. They could be 8. They could not even make it. So.
If they're 8, I think they're fucked.
Yeah, that's a matchup I also would like to see is
Yeah.
Celtics Sixers, but only if Embiid is Clippers Nuggets.
You know what I'm going for.
The Nuggets are just too consistent and have shown
Yeah.
too much this season.
I think so.
It's hard for me to pick the Clippers, especially like every season. Once we get to this point, the Clippers are somewhat beat up.
Yeah.
So, and the Nuggets beat them at their peak.
Yeah.
I don't know what more to say. Like, obviously, yeah, Westbrook. I think Westbrook is huge. Is huge in the series because the Nuggets bench is very weak.
Yeah, but you
especially
also
when
have
Jokic
guys
comes
like
out.
opposing
that's
guards
gonna
like
be-
Christian Brown and Peyton Watson on the other bench that like their whole thing is athletic defenders that keep up with their guys and are springy, and like that's Westbrook's whole thing.
It's more not really Westbrook. It's more that like the Clippers, they can kind of play around a little bit because they have these 4 really smart, really talented players where they could be like, okay, like, oh, Jokic is coming out. Okay, Harden, you're going in, right? Like, you have to take advantage of this opportunity. The way the Clippers are going to win is by taking advantage of the times Jokic is on the floor, which I don't think would be enough for the Nuggets to lose.
Yeah,
Plus,
I don't
the
think
Nuggets
so
are just so consistent. I've seen it all
Yeah.
year, where once it comes to 5 minutes, they just lock in. With the exception of a few games, including the one a couple days ago. But
The only way I can see the Clippers winning is if Paul George and Kawhi both go like supersonic on offense, and like it's possible. I just like
The
we were
defense
talking
of the
about this
Nuggets,
whole
I think,
time.
is just too
There's
good.
just way more ways for the Nuggets to win, and their defense is like top tier, especially in the
That matchup.
playoffs.
We're kind of boring, I guess, because this is, I feel
Yeah,
like, the
this is
matchup
gonna
where
be
everyone's kind of
everybody's matchup.
expecting. If we did a 1-game elimination, do some upsets. But
Yeah.
I think the Nuggets will win this. I think the Nuggets are just, I mentioned it before, just too consistent. And the Celtics haven't shown that in the playoffs. Maybe they'll show it this year, but I think the Nuggets, they're just too solid in what they do. And the Celtics are going to end up playing the Nuggets game, and that's going to favor
Exactly.
Nuggets. Not to mention
That-
Jokic is the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's 2 ways I can see the series going, and that's honestly really about it. I either see Boston finally overcoming whatever they've faced recently, whatever like mental block or whatever's going on, and like really unlocking their potential. Tatum taking another step and like really entering his prime. Same with Brown, and like just going absolutely insane, like 2017 Warriors level of just crazy. Or the Nuggets just like you said, force them to play their game, slow their game down, really plot out their offense. Jokic picks apart their defense, and they just like grind out these games where when it comes down to the clutch, they make it. They like force it into these clutch scenarios where their offense being generated is a lot more consistent, and they're consistently getting a lot more high quality looks than the Boston offenses gone in clutch. Just because of the Jokic Murray 2-man game and all the looks that creates.
The thing, and I'll play a little bit on the Celtics side here, with the Jokic Murray 2-man game, is that they have a lot of stuff that they could throw on Jamal Murray to pretty much take him out of the game. With, you got Drew Holiday, Derek White. I mean, that's tough if you're Jamal Murray. That's tough to score on.
But it is
seeing
Jamal Murray.
Michael Porter, I think, is a big factor in this
I think
series.
so too.
He has to knock down his shots. Same with like KCP, and then it comes down to the bench again. But I think
Honestly,
both benches are a little weaker. So
my real concern in this series is Aaron Gordon and what he can put
Yep.
together. I think they're really, like, the key to neutralizing Aaron Gordon is always there. You just force him to be a shooter.
Yeah.
And I think the Celtics can do that better than most teams. But at the same time, it's like Aaron Gordon can make the shots sometimes, and he's pretty good about, like, okay, well, you're going to try and neutralize my shooting. I'm just going to, like, really try and drive, or suddenly I'm doing the pick and roll with Jokic, and I'm getting you into the offense when you're trying to, like, really stay back on me, and I'm getting the ball, and, like that. I think that works really well. That's something that really gives Denver another facet that a lot of teams don't have access to, is any one of the starting lineup can play that two-man game with Jokic and just force themselves into the offense and really, like, create stuff for themselves they couldn't get otherwise. Because now you have a smaller guy in Aaron Gordon if you do that, or you have an easier look for Jokic. So it's just, like, kind of a win-win. And they've shown they're not afraid of just spamming that, which I think that's a key in the playoffs, is just going back to the play that worked for you.
Yeah. And, Jokic, Celtics bigs especially, are not really primed to guard this guy. Like, Porzingis, I mean, we've seen it when he was in Washington, and we saw it the 2 games. Or did he play both those games? I'm not sure. But, I mean, he can't guard Jokic. Nobody can guard Jokic, but Porzingis is going to get bodied. And then it's not like you're throwing Luke Cornett on him or Xavier Tillman. No. That's, So it's just a tough matchup. I think the Celtics have better talent on paper, but the Nuggets are more consistent. I think they have a better IQ, and they have the best player in the world. So
I think they can get some interesting looks with Horford maybe on.
I think he's too old.
On Jokic, but I think he's too old too. I think Jokic is gonna, like, work him. He's just, like, a big solid body, and Jokic, like, isn't bad against that. He knows what to do, but, like, if the alternative is worse. Like, if he's able to just push around Porzingis, I don't know if you have a choice, because he's just going to score every time if he does that. But yeah, I see Denver repeating.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad. I can see the Celtics, they definitely can win.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But like I said, I think it would take a big leap offensively for Tatum, or they just figure something out about Denver that nobody has yet. That, I don't know what it could be. And if anyone could do it, I think Joe Mazzulla could. He's good about thinking outside.
I think
the box.
Boston out east, Boston would be the biggest threat. I think unlike last year, if this is the matchup, the Nuggets would actually have their biggest threat coming in the NBA Finals. Yeah.
I think it would be 6 or 7 games for sure.
Yeah, but this is our predictions. I feel like we mostly agreed on almost everything except maybe.
The only contentious things was
Clippers,
Clippers, yeah, and, like, a bit of maybe, like, Clippers Mavs one way or another, but that wasn't really, like, we were united on the Clippers.
All right, so we'll see if this comes into fruition, I guess.
Let us know who you guys think wins below. I think consensus is really going to be Denver. I think
Denver,
a lot of people are going to have Boston
I think
too.
are going to be the big two. We might see some Suns, we might see some Bucks, but
yeah, I'm interested to see in the coming days who people pick, who people really think can go all the way.